Hawah, Shalom, Pura vida to all the real ones out there. Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm very excited to be back. I'm going to be starting another series. It's regarding the ancient sport games of the indigenous people of the Americas. We're talking about the origin of games and many of the well-known games of today, actually. Did you know they all originated here in the true old world, America? So dodge the hijack because we're going to break this down, no matter how many parts it takes. Thanks to everyone tuning in, especially those who are viewing this live, since we have premiered the video with the community chat. Much love and respect to all my followers and all subscribers. Everybody supporting me. I really appreciate it. Special thanks to all the producers who helped me with the background music. I'm really loving it. Pura vida. So let's get started, all right? Let's begin. All right, so we're going to begin right here. We're going to talk about rubber, right? Rubber. Since we're talking about ball games, right? Made out of rubber. All right, so this says here, approved for public release, distribution unlimited, all right? So this is fair use. This is unclassified information. I don't know why this was classified, but hey. It says here, the performing organization, name and address, U.S. Army Natick Research and Development Command, Natick, Massachusetts. All right, fair use again. Approved for public release, distribution unlimited. All right, rubber, keyword, natural rubber, synthetic rubber, rubber compound, and rubber history. That's the part we're here for. It says rubber in abstract. Once only, right? Only the product of a tree grown in South American jungles became the prototypic material for class of synthetic materials, all having the common properties of rubber elasticity. All right, so again, rubber, which was once only native to South American jungles, all right, and also we have South and the Mesoamerican. We're going to read that too. Whether it's the same tree, not sure, but hey, it's in the Americas where rubber is from. Nobody else had rubber balls then, all right, remember that. So we're at the part where it says history, and it says here, although unknown by civilization, rubber had been discovered by the Indians of the sub-American continent as the product of a tree grown in the Amazon River basin in the tropical rainforest. All right, so who? Indigenous people from South America already had rubber, had discovered it, right? Remember, it was only here first. The natives called the tree caoutchouc, the weeping wood. Because of the milk-like substance that oozed from the bark, the liquid now known as latex, right? That's how you make rubber from latex, right? The word caoutchouc became the root of the word for rubber in Italian, Spanish, German, and French. The English name rubber was bestowed by Joseph Priestley, the discoverer of oxygen, because it rubbed out pencil marks. Eventually, it replaced the material previously used for that purpose, dampened bread crumbs. There is archaeological evidence that rubber was known by the South Americans as early as the 6th century. All right, we're going to get some good info in this video. You're going to see how far back it really goes. Ruins of the Mayans in Yucatan revealed the existence of a game similar to what? Basketball. A game similar to basketball, right? So we got the first rubber. Now we got sports too. We got basketball. Of course, we have rubber balls, right? Basketball, though, played on a stone-walled court, except that the rings or goals were vertical. The ball used was rubber, made from dry latex, and it is believed that it was the size of today's basketball, but solid. If so, it would have weighed about 40 pounds. Now, we're going to read later on, as it's about to say, this other guy, he did some other research, this is more modern, and he said that it's possible that they made hollow rubber balls or latex balls, right? So they can fly almost like a beach ball or a volleyball. So continues, says either the Mayans were powerfully muscled or they had found some means of making a hollow sphere from latex, all right? The first knowledge of this strange new material by Europeans was from members of Columbus' second voyage. 1493 to 1495, who reported that Haitian natives made bouncing balls from the dried liquid of a tree. In a book written in 1521, Pietro de Anguera described the incredible rebound of the material. In 1540, Pizarro, the Spanish conqueror of Peru, right, reported the use of latex to waterproof fabrics and clothing. The Spaniards, though cognizant of rubber and its uses by the natives, did very little to use the material, and remained for a Frenchman, M. de la Condamine. All right, are we talking about a Huguenot when he's talking about Frenchmen, Protestants, people of color as well, to provide the impetus that started rubber on its way as an article of commerce? He first came to Peru in 1735 as a member of a French civil survey team. When that project was completed, he remained to explore by himself, traveling the full length of the Amazon, 4,000 miles. All right, Amazon. He was fascinated by the use of rubber by the natives and sent back samples and descriptions of shoes, syringes, bottles, and of coated fabrics made by putting on successive layers of latex and drying each over a fire. You hear that? So they had rubber for everything back in the day in the Amazon. Even probably had sneakers and all that, the rubber seals and all that, man. Balls, anything they can use rubber, right, to make clothing, right, anything. It was for this last use and waterproof boots that rubber found its first applications in Europe. The problem was the transportation of the rubber in a liquid form to Europe. The latex coagulated on standing and could not last a long ocean voyage. La Condamine reasoned that the latex should be dried in South America, shipped as a solid, and be redissolved in France for use. Latex, however, is an emulsion of solid rubber particles, and once the emulsion is broken, the particles coagulate into a mass and there is no way of reforming the original emulsion. A solvent was needed that would dissolve the rubber and allow it to be used as liquid. And he searched for then available liquids. Turpentine, all right, a turpentine, they get that from cedar trees, I believe, or trees, right, was found to be solvent. And the first coating solutions or cements were made with it, all right, turpentine and latex. The materials becoming the forerunners of the solvent cement coating used on fabrics today. All right, you see that? All originating where? Here in America. At this point, however, rubber was not really widely used and was not widely known, except in the scientific community. It was regarded by some as defying the laws of gravity because of its great rebound and bounce. In the early 1800s, the fledgling rubber industry began its growth in England when Thomas Hancock discovered that naphtha, up until then a useless byproduct of coal gas manufacture, was a better solvent than turpentine for rubber. As a result, the use of dissolved rubber as a waterproofing for fabrics increased, the cements being used by Hancock in England, Mackintosh in Scotland, and various entrepreneurs in the United States, mainly in New England. The really unique properties of natural rubber, its resilience, rebound, and elasticity were largely ignored. All right, so it's going to get into a little bit more history, continuing there, and every Goodyear, the vulcanization process, which made the tires and all that, made the rubber a lot tougher and harder. All right, so we just wanted a little bit of the history. We're going to get something else right now. So I'm in this other article, great article, says here, America's first polymer scientist, rubber processing, use and transport in Mesoamerica. This is by Michael J. Tarkanian and Dorothy Hustler. Now, just want to read their credentials real quick. Michael J. Tarkanian says he's from the Center for Materials Research in Archaeology and Ethnology, Department of Material Science and Engineering, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, that's MIT, Dorothy Hostler, Center for Materials Research in Archaeology and Ethnology, Department of Material Science and Engineering, and Massachusetts Institute of Technology as well, all right? The very credited authors. It says here, ancient Mesoamericans were making rubber by at least 1600 BC, at least, all right? We're going to get how old it really is. mixing latex from Castilla elastica trees with juice from Ipomoa alba, morning glory vines. You see, so they had their own type of trees that can make rubber, and they had another way to mix it with something else, right? The combination of ethnographic, archaeological, and mechanical data presented in this text illustrate that ancient Mesoamericans had fully developed this process. Ancient Mesoamericans, and we just got the South Americans, right? All in America, and consciously tailored the mechanical properties of rubber to suit requirements of specific applications by altering the ratio of latex to alba juice. Our data focus on rubber balls, sandal soles, and rubber bands for hafting and joining. Elasticity, the mechanical property that defines the ability of a rubber ball to bounce, is maximized with a 1:1 volume ratio of latex to Alright, so they're talking science here. So we're going to right here, this part of the book, it says, rubber is a material that was first processed in ancient Mesoamerica. The history of rubber usually begins in 1839 with Charles Goodyear's discovery of vulcanization, a process that can increase the strength, elasticity, and durability of rubber, right? So Goodyear tires, right? He's the one that, went to Mesoamerica and brought the idea over and made tires. During a period of 3,500 years before Goodyear's discovery, 3,500 years before Goodyear's discovery, the Olmec, Maya, Aztec, Mexica, and other Mesoamerican peoples that they're not mentioning. All right, we're going to see one of those groups that was actually before a lot of these people right here, were employing rubber and latex and medicines and rituals for rubber balls, for the Mesoamerican ball game, and for sandal soles. Several lines of evidence indicate that ancient Mesoamericans were making rubber by mixing latex from the Castilla elastica tree with juice from the morning glory vine in Ipomoa alba as early as the 2nd millennium BC. Alright, 2nd millennium BC. Alright, so it says here ceramic wood and latex. There's rubber. They had rubber handles on their weapons and tools. Alright. Materials associated with large rubber balls excavated from the Olmec site of Manatí, Veracruz, Mexico, have been radiocarbon dated as to early as 1600 BC. All right, so I want to explain to you guys something, that the credit of making rubber balls and ball games, because they found rubber balls, they credited ball games and rubber balls to this site, the Manatí site in Veracruz, which was Olmec site, about 1600 BC. Now this article is a little older than another one I'm about to read to you guys, which was, the research was done between 2015 and 2017, a lot more recent than all this, and they discovered something new, and I'm about to show you guys this. All right, so this is the mainstream story that the Olmec did it. All right, and I'm going to show you that it was not the Olmec. Olmec didn't even have ball courts in their sites, but they did find these figurines and these rubber balls there. All right, but no ball courts there. I'm going to show you that. Now it says, again, they're going to tell you, marking the earliest known use of rubber in the world, but it's not. This complements data that it placed the earliest known ball court at Paso de la Mada, Chiapas, Mexico at 1400 BC. All right, so this was another place they were giving credit to, Paso de la Mada in Chiapas. That's a whole lot different place. All right, so this map right here will kind of give you the, so Veracruz and all that is on this side, Olmec Heartland, right, on this side of the world. Paso de la Mada's on the other side of Mexico. Now, if you see this little box right here, you see the Yucatan, all this way go Mexico to Texas, and right here is Guatemala and all that, Belize. So this area is Paso de la Mada. They're talking about 1400 BC, 1600 BC. They found some balls, but they actually found a ball court. This is the oldest they had so far, supposedly. And Paso de la Mada ball court in 1400 BC, 1600 BC, around that era. All right, they call these the formative periods, which is antiquity, very old times. All right, so Paso de la Mada is right here and Olmec right here. They're not even close to each other. References to rubber balls are abundant in the Popol Vuh. All right, in the Popol Vuh, in which the ball game plays a central role in the story of the heroes Hunampu and Xabalanque and their fathers. All right, these are the twin heroes, right? One Hunampu and 7 Hunampu, the repeated references to rubber balls in the Popol Vuh make clear that this material was sufficiently embedded in the world of the classic Maya to constitute a primary theme in that work. Right? It was very important, talking about rubber balls in ball games, which explains the origin of the universe and the human species. They used a game. You understand? There's a foundation behind sports, behind games. It didn't just pop out of nowhere. Like they tell you growing up, if you go to a professor, tell, yeah, ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, we're gonna read that. All right, so you can see the hijack, but we're gonna get the facts first, so you know how to dodge the hijack. All right, again, it's all over the Popol Vuh. This is like their so-called Bible. This is one of their sacred books, and it's all up in there, and it helps with explain the origins of the universe and the human species. A ball game. The data we present in this paper indicate that ancient Mesoamerican peoples were cognizant of the range of mechanical properties made possible by processing Natural Latex with various concentrations of alpine juice. This knowledge was a prerequisite to their ability to process rubber selectively for specific applications such as rubber balls and sandal soles. This is like alchemy, chemistry, right? Science. You need to know that stuff, right? And for joining applications such as adhesives or haften bands. These three applications stand out from the many other Mesoamerican uses of rubber and latex documented in this paper. We're a little further down in this article, and it says here, construction methods for Mesoamerican rubber objects. It says, analyzing the mechanical properties of materials incorporated into an object can help to predict performance and efficiency. But construction methods and design also play a crucial role in the performance of the finished goods. We are able to combine a variety of archaeologically known construction methods with mechanical data on Elasticus alba rubber to form a substantially complete picture of the performance of ancient Mesoamerican rubber balls. The preceding mechanical data shows that rubber made with 50% morning glory juice by volume would produce a ball with the maximum elasticity possible via the C. elastica tree, right? Nonetheless, archaeological evidence exists for a wide variety of construction methods used to fabricate ancient rubber balls. The construction methods of a ball markedly affect its mechanical properties, such as its elasticity. The 16th century Spanish sources discussed earlier indicate that ancient balls were made of sharpening a solid mass of rubber. Historical accounts, ethnographic studies, and archaeological data provide evidence for at least three other construction methods. Balls built up with extremely thin rubber layers. Balls rolled in a spiral fashion from one or several thick sheets of rubber, and balls constructed from wound rubber strands. Solid rubber balls were made shaped from a singular lump of rubber made by mixing latex with morning glory juice. Alright, these are some examples of what they found. Solid rubber balls, alright, most likely fossilized or a little hardened now. Says here manatee balls, alright, that's the site in Veracruz. Says that when making balls, the rubber se endurece y convertido en masa. Se le da forma apetecida. So it says it gets hardened and it becomes a mass. That way you can give it shape or form, alright, as you please. Fernandez de Oviedo recounts the mixing with the use of roots and herbs. Creates, it says, una pasta, a paste, and then you round it, and then you can make the ball whatever size. These descriptions mirror precisely the ball making process we observed at Rancho Paraíso in Chiapas. There, rubber balls were made by mixing latex collected from C. elastica trees with juice squeezed directly from crushed I. alba vines. Approximately 10 minutes after mixing the two liquids, the latex coagulated into a solid mass of rubber. This rubber is extremely pliable and able to be shaped as desired. Within minutes, however, the rubber sets into place and its shape cannot be altered. This process significantly reduces the labor required to make a ball compared with other construction methods. The balls made with this method are formed as a seamless mass without any areas of prone breakage or fatigue. Photographs of several solid rubber balls likely made using this technique can be found in Figure 8. These balls were excavated from Manatee. Again, these are the ones right here. Veracruz in the early 1990s. Material found in conjunction with the rubber balls was radiocarbon dated to the 1st through third phases of Manatee ranging from 1600 BC to 1200 BC. Thought the hijack, they don't really know, as figure 8 makes it clear the diameters of the balls from Manatee vary greatly. Modern ethnographic data revealed a second style of ball construction. This method requires layering extreme thin sheets of rubber until the ball reaches the desired size. Roberto Ronching, film Ulmaña, documents his process in Sinaloa. There, latex from the plant known as aguama, Bromelia penguin. Alright, so they even got latex from another plant. It's mixed with slices of the root of machacuana. Like the alba tree, machacuana is also a white flowering plant from the Apomoa genus. This mixture is then heated in bowls and in aqueous solution. After mixing small amounts of rubber hardening in bowls, they are flattened in layers so as to form a ball. So everybody's making rubber balls around this time, right? Everywhere here. Balls can attain 4 kilos in weight using this method. It notes on Middle American archaeology and ethnology. Kelly, 1940, Isabel Kelly describes a process witnessed in Nayarit that is almost identical to that depiction in Ulama. Kelly writes, the ball was thus built up, layer by layer, as small quantities of rubber were added to the pellet-like nucleus, also rubber. After each increment of rubber was squeezed free of the liquid, the ball was shaped on a flat board held slanted against the knees to let the liquid run off. When perfectly round, the finished ball was smoothed and polished with a stick. The method described by Kelly also requires the use of rhodocalix, another plant, writes that to coagulate the latex, the root of the machacuana was diced and added to water. This method, like that depicted in the film Ulama, is much more labor intensive than making a ball from a solid mass of rubber. In Ulama, the ball maker constructs a 4-kilo ball in a time-intensive process that occurs over the course of an entire day. In Chiapas, the ball makers can produce a ball of equivalent size from a single mass of rubber in half an hour. The layer construction may also produce a ball that is more prone to break down than the Chiapas-style balls, since it relies on cohesive bonds between the rubbers to rubber layers. Immediately after coagulation, rubber is in its pliable state and able to form an inseparable bond with rubber in a similar state, or with itself. Once the rubber hardens and can no longer be shaped, it also loses the ability to bond and is no longer tacky. Loss of bond within the layers of a ball develop over time or can result from faulty construction. These circumstances would create a discontinuity in the elastic behavior of a ball, thus decreasing its ability to bounce. They would also produce a ball that could fail catastrophically in play. The third construction method consists of rolling thick sheets of rubber into a spiral shape, forming the sheet into balls. Alright, so bottom line, everybody's making rubber balls. They have different ways of making these balls, right? They're all over the place. Alright, so sports, ball games, rubber balls are very important. It's not just a pastime, it's very important, even though they use it as a pastime too. Alright, so that was a little bit of the story there. All these rubber balls being made, how they were doing it. Alright, where again? In the Americas, we have the first polymer scientists and those who were processing rubber, right? Again, this was a very scholarly article, right? Rubber originated in America. Alright, so now I want to real quick just corroborate. Alright, this is a great book. It's been shared around this community for the last couple of years. A lot of good info coming out of it, a lot of great builds. It says here, Encyclopedia of American Indian Contributions to the World. 15,000 years of inventions and innovations, 15,000 years. Facts on File, Library of American History. Alright, an encyclopedia by Emery Dean Kilkey and K. Marie Porterfield, American Indian Contributions to the World. And these authors, one of them is a native, so-called Native American. So you got to respect the people who contribute these kind of writings to us, so we can have that information, all right, and not just talk about them, of course, So I just want to read the preface of this book. Just real quick, a little bit. It says, what follows is a collection of contributions American Indian peoples have made to the world. All right, contributions, not just contributions, all right? Origin. The word contribution is defined in the American Heritage College Dictionary, 2nd edition, as to give to the common fund or common purpose, a common purpose. American Indians from the Arctic Circle to the tip of South America donated many gifts to the world. Common fund of knowledge in the areas of agriculture. We already know it did actually start over here, agriculture. We're talking about science and technology, pyramid building, mummification, all that started here. Agriculture, teosinte, they turned teosinte into corn, that's science. The rubber making, that's science. Medicine, transportation, we had highways here. They're finding them all over the place. They're finding them, these highways in the jungle of Guatemala right now as we speak. Architecture, psychology, military strategy, government and language, future video, very important. These contributions take the form of inventions, processes, philosophies, and political or social systems like ball games. For the most part, until the late 19th century, they remained unrecognized outside of the disciplines of anthropology and archaeology. People throughout the world enjoyed the fruits of indigenous American invention, such as rubberized raincoats, rubber, popcorn, hammocks, and the drug quinine, without being aware of their origin. All right, you don't know about the origin of all these things. Well, now you go know, right? You know now rubber was made here, right? It's from here. Rubber balls, you know that now, right? At the same time, textbooks, novels, and later movies and television portrayed the first peoples of the Americas as primitives who were incapable of complex ideas and inventions. So continuing, it says, immediately after initial contact, Europeans from Christopher Columbus on wrote detailed descriptions about the accomplishments of the American Indians they encountered. Often they judged these accomplishments as being superior to anything in the old world. Again, superior to anything over there in the old world, especially games, ball games, especially that includes ball games, sports, superior. We had ball courts, hundreds of them. We're going to see that. Nevertheless, as a general rule, within 20 years after contact, conquistadores and colonists alike denied that the American Indians, whom they had begun to call savages, were responsible for these discoveries, all right? Why did they change their mind? Well, if you put them in a high place, then it's going to be less tolerable for someone to allow these people to be conquered if they're contributing so much to the world. But if you call them savages, yeah, let's get rid of them. They're savages. Let's take over all their land and stuff. They're pagans, you know. Continuing further on, says a similar process had taken place in Mesoamerica and in South America in earlier centuries as Spanish conquistadors burned libraries and priests banned even agricultural products such as avocados and the seed crop amaranth because they believed these kept the Indians they sought to convert tied to their savage ignorance. In order to justify the theft of American Indian ideas, inventions, and land, it was necessary to portray them as less intelligent and less human than Europeans. Use of the term savages and heathens were first steps in dehumanizing American Indians. Eventually, they were equated with animals. Alright, so before we continue, I just want to show this guy real quick. Look at him holding that ball. He's a baller, man. Look how he's holding that. Say hi! Or he's just holding the basketball, right? The bouncy ball, right? And it says here, this hollow clay whistle in the shape of a Maya ball player shows him holding a rubber ball. Again, shows him holding a rubber ball. Rubber balls that American Indians made before contact with Europeans have been found throughout Mesoamerica. The earliest to date, 1000 BC, but we're gonna get it older. Watch, I got a good article coming up. Now I want to show this one right here too. Alright, what does that look like right away to you? Yup, that's a helmet. That's a sports helmet. Now check this out. Ball player figure from Paso de la Mada, 900 BC, jadeite, Walter's art. We're gonna get a little bit of this too. Alright, this is just an example of how the vase looks, you know, normally. And yeah, that's a ball in the middle, and down here says Mesoamerican ball game. players. All right, so just a reminder again, we're in the Encyclopedia of American Indian Contributions to the World, 15,000 years of inventions and innovations, facts on file, Library of American History. So again, we already got rubber was made here. We're going to get it from this encyclopedia as well. Now it says here, latex rubber, around 1000 BC, they're saying, right? But it goes back older. I'm going to show you in the next videos. Mesoamerican, South American cultures. Rubber is from there. They invented it. It's from here, originated. Latex is a term generally used to describe the milky fluid or juice that comes from the rubber tree, Hevia brasiliensis, that is native to parts of Mesoamerica and South America along the Amazon River. These trees are 30 to 60 feet tall. The sap produced by the trees is also called caoutchouc, after the Quechua name for the tree. It is extremely sticky, and some consider its smell malodorous. The Olmec of Mesoamerica, whose culture flourished from about 1700 BC to about 400 BC, are credited with first producing rubber products from this sap, including the rubber ball used for the game of basketball. All right, basketball. Yes, again, we're getting it again. So they're giving the credit for it, all right, because the trees are near their area. But we're going to see in a different article that there was people doing this 2,000 years before them, had ball courts and ball games. All right, 2,000 years before them. That's the next video, all right? The Olmec also produced other rubber and rubberized products that they used for trade goods. They became so identified with rubber in the ancient America that they were referred to as the rubber people. So they were in charge of the trade, a lot of the rubber, eventually. By other tribes, the Olmec also made rubber from latex of the sapodilla tree. The Maya learned to use latex to make rubber and waterproof materials as well. In her book, The Maya World, Elizabeth P. Benson states that rubber trees provided the Maya with rubber for their balls, rain-proven for capes, and material to be traded with non-rubber producing highlands. The Quechua, contemporaries of the Inca, all right, we're talking about South America, Quechua Emperor and the Inca, whose empire was established in what is now Peru in about AD 1000, called this tree caoutchouc and produced many rubber and rubberized products, including ropes and bottles. Indigenous people routinely harvested latex from what became known as the weeping tree. Usually, two collectors would open a trail between about 100 trees and harvest sap from these trees each day. They would make a slash in the bark with a small hatchet. These slanting cuts allowed latex to flow from ducts located on the exterior or the inner layer of bark cambium of the tree. Since the cambium controls the growth of the tree, growth stops if it is cut. Thus, rubber tapping demanded accuracy so that incisions would not be too many, given the size of the tree, or too deep, which could stunt its growth or kill it. Harvesters, so that was the whole science right there. Harvesters would attach a clay cup to collect the latex. As the collectors moved back along the pathways, they emptied the cups into small gourd buckets. Usually one day's work would amount to only about 1 or 2 gallons. They then brought the latex back to camp, where they cleaned it off impurities. The earliest Spanish explorers brought reports of the new substance back to Europe. Pietro Martyr, or Peter Martyr of England, the chaplain to King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella of Spain, who had sponsored the voyages of Christopher Columbus, wrote in his report, the New World, of a game played with balls made with the juice of certain herb. All right, so there was this news to them that being stricken on the ground but softly rebounded increasingly into the air. Antonio de Herrera and Tordesillas, who served as historian to Spanish King Philip II, reported that Christopher Columbus first encountered rubber on his voyage to what is now Haiti from 1493 to 1496, and wrote that Columbus saw balls made of the gum of a tree. In 1615, Father Juan de Torquemada reported that Indians made footwear, see also sandals, and bottles from this sap, and that they brushed it onto the clothing for waterproofing. All right, waterproofing. Rubber was given its present name in the English-speaking world when in the 1700s the gum was found to be excellent eraser, which is called a rubber in England for lead pencil marks. In 1876, rubber tree seeds were sent to tropical herbarium at Kew Gardens in London, then distributed to Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. From there, rubber plants traveled throughout the Southeast Asia, where tracts of land were cleared and plantations were established. Today, rubber has become an integral part of modern life. Ironically, most of today's rubber comes from commercial plantations in Thailand, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Sri Lanka, rather than the Amazon basin, where rubber tapping and manufacturing originated. Again, originated. We had rubber first. We made rubber balls first. Today, the term rubber generally refers to the substance that results when the heat is applied to the raw latex, causing proteins to be destroyed. Latex today has come to mean sap that is not subject to heat and therefore contains proteins as well as water. After it has been chemically stabilized, it is used for the manufacture of items such as latex gloves. These are made by dipping forms into latex, essentially the same process American Indians invented hundreds of years earlier. And again, we continue in the Encyclopedia of American Indian Contributions to the World, 15,000 years of inventions and innovations, facts on file, Library of American History, all right? Inventions, they contributed to the world. So of course, we already know balls and rubber was made here, Mesoamerican cultures, right? It says the Olmec again, but we're going to see it was a lot older before them. This is recent research I'm going to show you guys. The Olmec were the first people to produce and play with rubber balls, spherical objects that are widely used in many sports and games today. All right, so again, this book, this encyclopedia is a little outdated. It's not from 2015, and that's what the new research you're going to see. It's all over the internet, and you can Google it after you view the information. A rubber ball dated to 1000 BC has been found in the Olmec site of La Venta. Rubber is made from the sap of latex of a tree indigenous to the area. The Olmec, whose culture flourished from 1700 BC to 400 BC, were the first to manufacture objects made of rubber. They and later, the Maya and Aztec made hollow and solid rubber balls that were used for playing a team sport on huge ball courts. All right, that's the next video. We're going to get this history of the ball courts, right? See also basketball. The Maya culture rose in about 1500 BC. The Aztec Empire was established in about 1100 AD. Rubber balls were so highly valued that the Codex Mendoza, an Aztec book of accounts, listed 16,000 rubber balls being paid by the coastal provinces to the Aztec emperor. 16,000 rubber balls. This is from here. It says here one version of Mesoamerican basketball was played with a solid rubber ball that varied in size from 2 to 10 inches in diameter. This version could produce bodily damage without the protective gear worn by players. Even with paddling, ball players were not immune from bruises and other injuries because in one version of the game, they could use only their shoulders, thighs, knees, head, and hips to hit the ball in order and get it through a high hoop. The hollow rubber ball was lighter and bounced higher. Spaniards who observed the game and the technology for making the balls introduced rubber balls to Europe. An Olmec modification of the hollow rubber ball, the rubber-bulbed syringe, was used to administer medication and for enemas. All right, so again, rubber balls, that's from here. All right, ball games, again, as you can see here, was from here.